If it's not the leaf blowers, it's the leaf truck, which is currently outside my window right now. Can't win. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kristin, and if you're new here, this is a corner of the internet where I come at you every week and share what I've been making. I do a lot of knitting, crochet, weaving, beadwork, sewing, quilting. Yeah, I'm multi-craftual. I do it all. So if that is something that you're into, you're in a good place. And this week we have Miss Willow hanging out with us again. How you doing, Willow? Do you have any crafts to share with us this week? Have you been doing any knitting? Have you been doing any sewing? No? Oh my goodness. I don't know if we can have you on. You can stay on. You can hang out. Yes. Puppy's always welcome. Oh, I love you. Okay. But a few housekeeping notes. Last week you might have noticed that I did not put out an episode. Yeah, guys, I don't know what it is, but October has been a very challenging month. Just, you know, creatively, life-wise, work-wise, hormonally, it's been a lot, you know, and I'm sure you guys can relate. And, you know, last week I burned out. I burned out, and I also came down with a cold, and I put the brakes on recording. But I'm back this week, and I'm excited to hang out with you guys and share all the things that I have to share with you. Lots of fun stuff. Mostly, I have quite a bit of new yarn that came into my life. I've got a finished object, some creative tales of woe. But as I mentioned, October was a challenging month. So November I feel like is going to be a clean slate, a fresh start, and we're just going to go from there. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of things because I've got some stuff to share with you. And yes, we are hanging out in my sunroom today, even though it is a dark and stormy, gloomy, overcast day. But perfect for filming because the sun isn't constantly poking in and out. We are gonna have some consistent lighting here, and I'm here for it. So anyway, okay. First things first, let's talk finished objects because my friends, I finished my Showgirl socks. They're done. This is my hand-dyed yarn, Voolenvine yarns, on my footsie base. Using two different colorways. So the main colorway here is Showgirl. Yeah, so if you haven't gathered already, this colorway, this color combo is inspired by Taylor Swift's new album, Life of a Showgirl. And I really love the color scheme that she used on her album cover. Just like the teals and the pops of orange. And I kind of tried to replicate that in these colorways. And Willow loves these socks, right? You want to wear these? We can do a photo shoot. I can put these on you and you can prance around and we can have such a fun time. I can put the record on and we can dance and you can prance and we can take some really pretty photos of you in the socks. Does that sound like a fun idea? These socks are my new sock kits that I started dyeing. More like a month ago, my friend actually reached out to me and she said, hey, would you be interested in dyeing sock kits using these colorways? So, you know, one main big 100-gram skein of yarn paired with a 20-gram mini skein for the cuff, heel, and toe to add a little contrast. And I said, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. I dyed some, sold out like hotcakes. Thank you so much to everybody who jumped on my sock kit bandwagon. I dyed several batches of these and they flew off the shelves. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. But yeah, that said, they did so well that I decided to dye even more sock kits in different color combos and colorways. And yeah, they've been doing really well. So I'm gonna keep dyeing sock kits until you guys get sick of them, I guess. Again, it's just been a crazy month for me, and it is like October usually is my favorite month out of the whole year, just because you have Halloween, it's spooky season, and you have fall, like the turning of the leaves and everything, and now it's gone. Now we have Thanksgiving coming down the pipeline, so it just goes by too fast. But that said, I am going to start dyeing my holiday colorways, so look out for that. Sign up for my newsletter if you haven't already. I'll leave the link down below, but every week I send out a newsletter letting you know what's happening in my shop, voolenvineyarns.com, so you can be in the loop. You had enough? Yeah? Okay. Thanks for coming. So, yeah, but my socks are done, guys. I love them so much. One thing I do want to point out about my sock kits is that they do come with a 20-gram mini skein, you know, to knit the contrasting heel, cuff, heel and toe. But you do want to be mindful of how much you're using, specifically for the cuff. I mean, I typically like a long, thick cuff. I usually knit about 25 rounds before I switch over to stockinette. But I did, if you look very closely on this sock right here, I did lose to the yarn chicken. So, you know, again, if you are using these sock kits, you might want to knit a shorter cuff, or I saw someone online who purchased one of these kits. They did knit a stripy cuff, which personally I thought looked really cool. I think I want to try that the next time I knit one of them. But yeah, just a little FYI, don't use too much of your mini skein in the cuff, just so you don't lose to the yarn chicken. I was so close. I think I had maybe about probably like 10 more rounds of the toe decrease before I ran out of the mini skein, but anyway, not a big deal. So yeah, again, Voolenvine yarns, my footsie base, which is a blend of 80% Blueface Luster superwash and 20% nylon. It's my go-to yarn for knitting socks. It's just sturdy, it's soft, and holds up to a lot of wear and tear. I love it. And the pattern that I'm using is, of course, my favorite sock pattern that I published. It's a free pattern. I'll link to it down below. The only difference is that I swapped out the reinforced heel turn for the Fish Lips Kiss heel by Socks Therapist. Again, it's just my go-to memorized heel that I like to insert because you know, while I do love a reinforced heel, I don't have the numbers in my head for the exact number of stitches that I have to use for the heel turn. So love a good Fish Lips Kiss heel, you know? But now that I finished those socks, for some reason, I can't explain it, some of my sock knitting mojo came back. Where it came from, I have no idea, but I actually found an unfinished pair of socks that I started several months ago. And finished one of those socks, and here we are. I don't know if I even talked about this project on the channel before, but yeah, I cast these on a while back, and this is yarn that I bought from Joann's, one of my last trips to Joann Fabrics before they closed. And this is Patton's Croy. Let me see. Yes, okay, I still have a skein of it. So this is one of my favorite go-to workhorse sock yarns. Patton's Croy Socks in the Midnight Orchid colorway. So it's self-striping. And again, I say this yarn is my favorite because you can throw it in the wash, you can throw it in the dryer. It will survive the zombie apocalypse, my friends. These socks last a long time. And then the contrast that I'm using is this same thing, Patton's Croy Socks in this really pretty purple, like heather purple, or lilac, I think. I lost the ball band, but that's what I'm using for the contrast. And yeah, I have a new one on the go. So we already started the second sock, and you know, honestly, this is all I want to be working on. Again, it's just one of those projects. Socks are just one of those autopilot projects that I can just pick up, not have to look at my hands. I can just pop on some YouTube, some Netflix, and go at it. I don't have to, you know, fuss too much. I don't have to look at a pattern. It's a sock. It's a sock, and I love it. Let me pop it on a sock blocker so you can see. And again, guys, sock blockers, it's a nice to have. You don't need a sock blocker unless, you know, you're taking photos and you want them to lie nice and flat. And of course, I've still got to weave in my ends here. But yeah, that's what they look like. So pretty, so cool. Yeah, so, and I did not block these yet. So these socks they're gonna be blocked, and then I'm gonna photograph them, put them on the internet, and they will be officially finished. So very happy about the sock knitting mojo having returned. Guys, I love knitting socks. It's just it's a very soothing project to work on. You know, I know I still have a lot of other projects that I started that need to be finished. I say this every time, but the crafting heart wants what it wants when it wants it, and who am I to deny my crafting soul what it wants, right? Yeah. So that said, let's move along to weaving. I think I talked about this that I warped my floor loom, my 4-shaft floor loom, Marie Antoinette, with some worsted bulky weight yarn in hopes of weaving some twill with it, because I love weaving twill. Twill is just, I love the look of twill. But for some reason, with bulky cotton, it doesn't really register as, maybe some of you like the way it looks, but for me, it's not my jam. But here is what came off of the floor loom. And I had to cut my losses quite literally, because the yarn that I was using, if you can see here, is Noro Tayo. And this yarn is beautiful. I mean, I think there's some silk in here, some cotton, but I used it as a warp. And I learned the hard way that you don't use single ply as a warp, because if I can show you here, it literally, the integrity of the yarn, it's not strong enough to hold a warp, because it literally just poofs apart like that. And after you're beating your weft continually and advancing the warp, beating and advancing the warp, it loses its integrity and starts to come apart. So the silver lining in that is that I learned how to fix a broken warp thread several times over. But by the 4th time, I was like, this is not sustainable. This is not I can't keep doing this with this yarn. So new skill under my weaving tool belt. That's always good. But you know, it just wasn't worth the blood, sweat, and tears to continue on with this project, especially because I wasn't really loving, I mean, some of it I like, but like this section right here, I love how the colors in the Noro Tayo is mimicking the contrasting color that I was using, which was a mystery skein of Valley yarns. It was Aran weight yarn in this dusty lilac color. Really, really pretty. And yeah, this yarn has just been burning a hole in my stash for several years. And I was like, maybe now's the time to use it. Let's play around with it, see what we see. And I saw, this is what I see. And it's interesting, but not really what I was hoping for. So, we may have another table runner here. I just have to wet block it and then snip off these little ends that are popping out. But, yeah, it was really cool to learn how to fix a broken warp thread. That's going to be clutch, like when I'm working on like a finer project, like a project that uses thinner yarn or just, like silk or something. That'll definitely come in handy. So like here, this is where I fixed the broken warp thread. You can't even see like where I wove it in or repaired it, except for this little tail right here, which again, after you wet block it, you just snip it off and it's secure, it's in there, because of the technique. So yeah. Currently on the loom, I am attempting to weave Dennis a winter scarf, but at the same time, I'm not enamored with it. Again, I was trying to use some chunky yarn. I like calling it chunky yarn. It's just so fun to say, chunky. But I went to Michael's and I picked up a color combination of Heartland, Line Brand Heartland, which is worsted weight yarn, acrylic, premium acrylic. It's really, really soft. I just wanted to play around with some colors, color and weave, make some more tartan. I love tartan, I love twill. And I tried the twill again, but again, I realized the thick yarn as a twill is not something I particularly like the look of. Your mileage may vary, but that's just my personal taste. But here's the yarn in question. So I got some Heartland, again, really, really nice yarn. I got 3 skeins of this, what is it, charcoal heather. What color is this? Smoky Mountains. And then I got 3 other colorways, which, anyway, I got a cream, I got an olive green, and I think that's it. And we're just making a plaid. Just a basic, simple plaid that I actually mocked up in plaidmaker.com. Have you guys heard of plaidmaker.com? It is an awesome website. It's what a lot of weavers use to design tartans and plaids. You can have a lot of fun with it. You just enter the colors that you're trying to weave with and then the thread counts, and you can just have at it, just trial and error, coming up with different types of plaid. So, had a little fun in there, came up with a scheme, and then used that to warp my project. So I will leave a link to it down below, but it was really, really fun. I realized I like weaving with thinner yarns, like lace weight, 8-2 cotton, I definitely want to try weaving with silk, but like, you know, fingering weight yarns and lace weight yarns, I think that's where my sweet spot is when it comes to weaving threads or weaving fiber, you know? That's been my ongoing project since this thing came off the loom. So there's that. And then yesterday, this is the ultimate tale of woe, guys. Are you ready? Are you ready? My rigid heddle loom. My rigid heddle loom. Hello, we are here. Yeah, let me see if I can angle you down since Willow has decided not to hang out anymore. So, okay. Hi. So this is my 16-inch Ashford rigid heddle loom, and I got it in my head that I wanted to learn how to do double weave. And if you're not familiar, double weave is a really cool technique where you can actually double the width of the cloth that you're weaving on your rigid heddle loom, or any loom for that matter. So case in point, as I mentioned, this is a 16-inch rigid heddle loom, which means that plainly and simply, I can only weave 16-inch wide fabric, however long I want, but I'm limited to 16 inches. But the cool thing about the double weave technique is that I can actually double that width. So 16 inches times 2, that's 32 inches wide. So yeah, I can weave a 32-inch wide piece of fabric on this tiny but mighty loom using the double weave technique method. And I found a really great tutorial on YouTube. It's Magpie and Molly, I think it is. Anyway, I'll leave a link to her tutorials down below, but she has a lot of great rigid heddle loom weaving tutorials on her channel. They're very short, quick, pithy, to the point. She has a lot of great, you know, angles. She shows you multiple angles so you can get the full gist. And I've watched quite a few double weaving tutorials, and this one just spoke to me differently. I understood it, and I followed everything to a T. And again, I'm using yarn that I picked up from Michaels. It's their loops and threads. I used this yarn to weave my houndstooth scarf that I also wove on here, but you know, really great budget-friendly yarn. And I'm glad I used budget-friendly yarn because this whole experiment just blew to bits. It blew up in my face. Did everything right, threaded it right, and I realized I warped it from the wrong side. Yeah. So had a little panic attack, screamed into the void a little bit, and you know, came back, took a breather, and went online, took to ChatGPT, as I sometimes do in these situations, and I'm like, this is what I did, this is what happened, can I fix it? Can I save it? And ChatGPT said, yes, you can. Don't worry. But what ultimately had to happen is I had to rewind my warp to the opposite end of the loom so I could weave from the front. Yeah, guys, so that kind of messed with my tension a little bit. And when it comes to tension and weaving, tension is it's clutch. It's very essential to have good tension with your weaving. And then when I had to insert the pickup sticks, you need to insert 2 pickup sticks, the tensioning was so off that the threads just wanted to stick to each other, that when I did go to put the shuttle through the shaft, things were getting caught, and that just made my life a living hell. So, you know, I tried to make it work, and it just didn't. Because with double weave, you're basically weaving 2 layers of fabric at once. You're weaving the bottom layer and the top layer. You're leaving one end open and then connecting the fabric at the side at the other end. It sounds really confusing, but in practice, it's actually quite simple. But the fact that my threads were just not cooperating just made this impossible. So unfortunately, this warp is kind of shot. I do want to revisit this technique again in the near future because it is really cool. It's a really cool technique to learn. But I think I'm going to start with a narrower warp. I'm not going to do the whole width. Anyway, that was this week's feature tale of woe. I'm sure there will be plenty more, but you know. All right, my friends, let's move on to more happy things, more uplifting things, shall we? Yeah, how about we talk about stash enhancements? Because, as I mentioned, some yarn came into my life. First of all, my friend started working at my local yarn/fabric store. So I popped in to say hello, and they got in some really, really beautiful yarn. And I was, resistance was futile. I could not resist coming away with some gorgeous yarn. And here it is. This is Debbie Bliss Roma Weave. Is it Roma? Roma Weave. Here it is. Look how beautiful that is. My gosh, guys. Another gorgeous chunky yarn. It's olive with flecks of like purple and charcoal. It's really unique, and I've actually never seen yarn like this, like a color like this. And it just got me thinking that, I could use a nice cozy new winter hat in this color. I love me some olive greens, So I got 2 skeins of it, and I did find a hat on Ravelry. I actually purchased it, so I'm blanking on the name right now. I come ill prepared as usual, without show notes, flying by the seat of my pants. But yeah, I did find a really interesting hat pattern on Ravelry. I'll pop the name of it down here below, and I'll pop a photo of it here so you can see what I'm talking about. But the cool thing about this pattern is she gives you multiple yarn weight options. So, if you have worsted weight yarn, she gives you a cast on count for that. If you have Aran weight or bulky weight or chunky weight, whatever your yarn weight is, she gives you a cast on count for that yarn weight, which I think is brilliant. So this one is merino wool, I should mention. Let me see, what is this? Bulky or Aran? It's 70% merino wool with 30% superfine alpaca, and there's 87 yards in a skein. This is going to keep me super warm, guys. But it doesn't actually say if it's bulky. It is bulky weight, guys. I think that is a bulky weight yarn. So I'm really interested to see how that knits up. But that is one stash acquisition that I purchased. And then the next I'm super, super excited about, guys, because this has been a long time coming. So getting back to weaving, rewind, I want to say 7, 8 years ago when my wonderful, wonderful mother-in-law gifted me my first rigid heddle loom. It was the 10-inch Ashford samplet loom, so a teeny tiny rigid heddle loom. I started down the rabbit hole. I went on Ravelry and found this one project that I fell in love with, and it's by a maker called Lucky Birdie, and she doesn't have, I realize she doesn't really have an online presence at all, but her weaving projects are absolutely beautiful. I will link to her Ravelry profile down below, but she published this one beautiful project. It's not even a pattern, it's just a plain weave shawl that she wove on her 24-inch Ashford rigid heddle loom. But I loved the yarn and the colors that she chose. It's very like seaweedy and oceany, but anyway, she used Wollmeise lace garn, so lace weight Wollmeise, which, if you're not familiar, I think only the Loopy U sells it currently, and it is very pricey. I mean, you're getting like over 1,000 yards of lace weight yarn per skein, so it's a big skein of lace weight yarn, and I want to say like 70. It goes for it is a pretty penny. Especially because it's imported from Germany. So, I went on to the Loopy U. I was very tempted, but they didn't have the colorways she used, and I'm determined to copycat this project, guys. So I went on to the actual Wollmeise website, which is, guys, my German, I'm trying, guys. I'm really trying with the German here. Rohrspatz und Wollmeise .com, I think. Links down below, and I probably butchered that first name, Rohrspatz. I know the R is rolled in the back of the throat, not the front. So trying to do that. They had the lace garn in the colorways that I wanted, but then it just I wasn't prepared to spend that much on it. So I decided to go down a tier and purchase the same colorways in their twin base, which is 100% wool. And guys, happy yarn mail. Happy yarn mail. It came. Really fast shipping too. So, and guys, can we talk about their packaging? Look at that. Their packaging actually has all the knitting terms translated from English to German or Deutsch. Purl into the back is links verstrengt. Stricken, wiederholen is repeating. Anyway, I'm gonna have so much fun like learning this because, guys, I'm still trying to learn German intermittently, like on and off, like I'll go for a month, like immersing myself in the language, and then, you know, because of life, work, anything, you know, I fall off the bandwagon of learning German. But it is like, if I can learn any language, it would be German. I love it so much, but this will definitely be helpful. So anyway, the yarn finally came, and I purchased 2 skeins of this sulfur colorway. I'm sorry, I thought I got their twin base. I'm sorry, their pure base is 100% Wolle wool. It's the sulfur base, which in German is Scheffel. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but it's this beautiful, glorious, like mossy green, or seaweed green, I should say. And then 2 skeins of, 1 skein of their colorway, which is a beautiful teal green. And then Wolke, which, if you're not familiar, I have a yarn base called Wolke, which is cloud in German. So look how beautiful. Guys, these colors are just divine, absolutely divine. So really, really excited to throw this on my loom. And again, it's not complicated weaving at all. It's just simple, plain weave. Just playing with color. Just color, enjoying the color combinations. And yeah, and the good thing about this project is she actually, Lucky Birdie on Ravelry, she has really excellent project notes. So she lets you know how many ends she used, how many, you know, picks and everything, how wide it is. Really, really helpful, which I really appreciate. I truly wish she had like an online presence where I could follow her, because yeah, her weaving is absolutely beautiful. And yeah, so that is coming down the pipeline. And the other, I mean, you know, I say that I don't have a 24-inch loom, but surprise, surprise. I am actually getting a 24-inch table loom. I kind of mentioned this, that I was saving up for one, but, you know, I mentioned to Dennis that I was saving up for one, and he's like, you know, do you want an early Christmas present? We can go half and half on it. So I'm like, twist my arm, okay. So yes, Dennis is helping. Dennis half gifted me an Ashford 24-inch table loom, 8 shaft. It's going to be an 8 shaft table loom, which I am so stoked about, because with an 8 shaft, you can do so many interesting techniques. And one that I'm really, really excited, one technique that I'm actually truly excited to learn is deflective double weave. And I'll pop an example of deflected double weave here. It's just, you can do a lot more gentle curves. It's not as boxy looking as, you know, not that there's anything wrong with weaving on a 4 shaft loom or the types of things you can weave on there, but you can do a lot more intricate things with the 8 loom, especially waffle weave, which is something I want to try too. A lot more texture, dimension. So that should be coming in the near future, and I have to make a video on building the thing. But I'm very, very excited about it. And guys, like weaving, I love weaving so much. It's, as my mother-in-law said, she's created a monster twice. Twice my mother-in-law has created a monster, because she's responsible for getting me into quilting. She's responsible for getting me into weaving. I'm sure I've enabled her many a times with knitting and crochet and yarn, for that matter. So I think we're even. If you're still here, thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I realized, like, I have not been posting on social very much at all throughout the month. And again, I feel like October was just a wash for me creatively, and it was just one of those months, you know? Nothing terrible happened, but everything and nothing was happening, and it was a lot. It was a lot, very overwhelming, and I'm really excited for November. A clean slate, a clean start, just a fresh take on creativity, on making things. And of course, hanging out with you guys and the like. But again, thank you so much, as always, for hanging out with me, for being here. If you haven't already, feel free to like and subscribe down below. And that's when my microphone battery decided to die. Anyway, while I let it recharge, here's a little footage from my backyard on a particularly rainy day. I mean, the trees are absolutely gorgeous right now, and I thought I would share a little bit of that with you. But while we're here, if you'd like to support this channel and get access to my bonus vlogs, behind the scenes updates, and all that good stuff, consider becoming a member. I will leave some links right below this video in the description box. Thank you so much again for watching and for hanging out with me. I hope you're finding a little creative calm wherever you are. And until the next video, happy making. Bye!